Hello, everybody. I'm State Representative Eric Nelson from the 57th Legislative District.
And I'm State Representative Eric Davanzo from the 58th Legislative District.
And we are E-squared.
We are back.
Blowing the dust off of E-squared, you know, out here in Harrisburg, week after week. Some crazy things are happening, but it is good to be back. It's nice to be back in the studio, you know.
Back in the studio. It feels like they got the heat turned up in here again. Some things never change. It's a little warm in here, or it could be packing on a few pounds too. You never know.
A little bit older, a little bit balder, you know.
Isn't that the truth?
So what do you got going on? What's been happening in the 58th family-wise?
58th, man, it is just softball, softball, softball. You know, it's like the dog days of softball. We're just winding down towards the end. We got 3 or 4 tournaments left. I got a big one here, I think, sometime in July, going to Atlanta. Savannah, Georgia, I should say. Savannah, Georgia for World Series. So going down there, don't really know what to expect.
It's funny, I remember those days where you're like silently hoping for rain, like thunderstorm rain. And you're like, let's go, we're gonna eat and have dinner, you know?
Yes,
so.
I don't know what that is anymore. I think I've been home probably 2 days in the last month or so, but you know, here in softball, but.
Yeah, well, we've been on the opposite, you know, a little bit further down that age-wise, and I brought this with me. It has been graduation time. This is my little graduation hat. We had 2 graduates at different levels. So we had Liberty graduate from Liberty University. Mm-hmm. She is done through college, back, accepted a job, and going through another process. Exciting things happening there. And then we had Kennedy, our number 5, graduate from Hempfield, and she is headed to IUP. She wants to be a teacher.
Congratulations, congratulations there. So as the checkbook gets lighter on one side, you finally, I guess you got a few months to save it, but yet it's going to go back out on
yeah, it doesn't seem to be getting lighter. 4, we got 4, you know. Plus we're in the midst, credit to Sweet Sue and everybody back home who's working like his graduation party this Friday. So weed whacking, poor Damien, 13 years old, trying to, I told Judge Smale, I was like, he could issue a penalty for like somebody who broke the law and say your penance is to teach a teenager how to weed whack, because it is brutal, buddy.
It is brutal. But you know what I find more, I got to give you credit. I truly underestimated you. In 20, when I came out here in 20, we started doing this. You had a Will, maybe Randy. One, you have so many kids, I forget the ages and the order of them. But they same thing. Graduation party on a Friday, and we're here till Thursday. And I'm like, well, he'll never do this again for another one of his kids. You know, he'll move the graduation party to a Sunday, so when he gets home Wednesday, he'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday to prep for it. But you double down. Like, well, you don't.
Credit goes to Sweet Sue. She sets the calendar, and then we just work to it. And youth labor has really been knocking it out. So
youth labor.
Yeah, youth labor. It's free.
He got his working papers. We need to send the appropriate authorities over to check him out there.
Well, this is how crazy it is. And I know nothing to do with policy, but like weed whacker string. That's a skill in itself, how to reload a weed whacker. So the guys at Hepler's, I call them, they're out of string, you know, but progress needs to go forward. We take that, because we get all our still stuff from down at Hepler's, take it down there, Dean hooks them up, reloads them, sends that child back out in the field, and he is up and running again. You know,
good to go. You know, a couple goats will take care of that too.
That is small business. That's the benefit of small business, you know?
Yeah.
And that was one of the things, I credit to you for making this E-squared happen, because June is going to be a tough month for homes and small businesses.
Yeah. And I know a lot of folks have already reached out to my office about it. You know, whenever they get their electric bill this month, it's coming. Some of them have already spiked. Hey, what's going on with this issue? And I know we have talked about it here. One of the early topics since I come in office in 20 was Reggie with you know, Governor Wolf, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. And we're finally feeling the effects of it. Of course we have, but over 5 years, how many power plants have we lost over the last 5 years?
We've lost advanced premature closures of multiple, about 9 major projects, $11 billion, some say $14 billion of work canceled. We haven't built a new power plant in Pennsylvania since 2019, you know.
So how much And we're not using any less energy, correct?
No, everybody's using more.
Everybody's using more. So the problem we have, and I want to back up and just go through this, right? RGGI, Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, issued by Governor Wolf. I don't remember the year, 18, 19. I think it was before I came in 20. It was into the works. He implements it. We fight it all the way through, right? It goes to the courts. The courts comes back and says the state Supreme Court comes back and says this is unconstitutional. Only a legislative body can enact a tax, correct? Mm-hmm.
Well, one step down. So you're right on the money. This whole energy game, was Governor Wolf's executive order. And when we try to legislate through executive order, because the argument is, can a governor levy what would be a tax, people are seeing it now. RGGI didn't actually get passed. He just mandated it, scared all the businesses, because a 10 to 18% cost increase if you generate power in Pennsylvania. So why would you spend $1 billion in Pennsylvania? You'll go to Ohio and West Virginia, and they have been thriving at the expense of our workers.
Yes.
So the court below, the Supreme Court, said a governor can't do this because we got a new governor, Shapiro, who loves to show up, extremely charismatic, but he's using millions of dollars of taxpayer money to continue the fight at the Supreme Court level. And our Supreme Court, 5-2, Democrat to Republican, they've been sitting on this issue and refusing to make a decision for season after season. And hey, I have a lot of respect for the court, but they're supposed to work, and we have billions of dollars of investment and workers that are getting pushed out of the state because they're letting this issue flounder.
So as the workers go, where are they going? Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland. What are they doing right now? They're ramping up their power plants. They're fossil fuel power plants. And I believe the state Supreme Court heard arguments in May, or right now in June. I guess that's in a process. So it's funny, some of these Supreme Court justices are up for retention this year too, right? So it's funny, is this decision going to come prior to November or after November?
Yeah. I didn't think we'd be getting this much into the Supreme Court, but it is amazing. The bureaucratic power and then this assumed legislative power over working families in the state, right? They eliminated voter ID.
Voter ID.
We have this whole RGGI issue coming from the executive office being slow paid by the courts, and then we put on top of that the venue shopping. 22 counties in Pennsylvania, you can't have a baby because this Supreme Court allowed lawsuits to be filed in Allegheny and Philadelphia. So right now, people are having babies in ambulances, and Harrisburg's spending billions of dollars more, but we're not confronting the true problem, and that is out of control lawfare. Environmental lawfare, lawsuits that are scaring away business, and then hospital lawfare that is forcing closures or them just to voluntarily step away, say, hey, we can't deliver babies anymore because we're delivering maybe 3 to 5 babies a week, and they just can't keep pace. It's not because of our great people or our strong workforce. It's because of bureaucrats and insulated judges that are making big money and not being really helpful. They don't have to look these people in the eye.
Correct. There's absolutely no accountability, right? They're making big money, making big decisions, but they're not benefiting the folks that are paying their salaries here.
We're getting all fired up. We're going to be torches.
You got off. I know. Listen,
I'm going to go out and shoot some groundhogs after this.
But this is a big issue, and this is more. We're chasing folks out of Pennsylvania as we chase tax dollars. We have a budget coming up that spends like never before, $51.5 billion here, right? In 2 years, even if we level funded this year's budget, in 2 years we're broke. Yeah. We've spent down a rainy day fund. We've drained our savings account. What are we going to do here? This is an issue that if we invest in Pennsylvania families, Pennsylvania jobs, Pennsylvania energy, in my opinion, this solves a lot of our problems.
Oh, absolutely. Energy, to me, priorities, energy, and old people. Yeah. We have a real big problem with senior care across the continuum because we haven't been investing in it. But like Homer City example, the largest power plant in the nation, $10 billion. Amazon announcing 2 projects, $20 billion. And this is private money. Like, let's talk about U.S. Steel right in our backyard. What a wonderful decision to allow, I mean, I feel it's wonderful. What are your thoughts? You know, Nippon coming in, big major investment, keep these plants open.
Well, you have to. And I don't understand really what was taking so long. Was it national security? But in my opinion, Biden should have okayed this. This is something that Trump should have never, it should have never went to Trump. But let's back up though. $1.6 billion investment U.S. Steel wanted to make in 2019, 2020. I was in office 21, right? To Allegheny County Health Department would not give them permits to do anything.
2 years.
2 years. Meanwhile, they pull it back. They open up, they build a steel mill in Arkansas that's functional by the time they would even got the permit.
Yeah,
So,
and the other half down in West Virginia. They
Yeah.
floated that work right down the river. West Virginia governor's putting in an exit for the new mill, and 2 projects U.S. Steel tried to do. It would have been the cleanest and biggest rolling mill in the nation, and then they wanted to do the hydrogen plant, you know. But it was slow play bureaucrats, that same thing, you know. Permitting reform, and I mean, I know this world of older people and what happens as people are getting older isn't exciting for everybody, but it's important for all of us. Helping people to stay in their homes. And it's not like we're not spending more money, but those dollars are non-transparent and they're not making it to the workers or the companies. You know, we need, transparency is, I think, part of the biggest key so that people know what's going on. Like, it's now over 10% of our budget is going for this Community Health Choices program. It's totally non-transparent, and workers aren't getting paid, and we're losing hospitals and senior facilities left and right.
so you mentioned seniors money. Let's get back to the Reggie a little bit here. I remember, I'm going to say mid-90s, my electric bill was $60 a month, right?
Yeah.
Probably high at that time, right?
Well, you leave your lights on and stuff.
Leave it all on. Like, air conditioner was on 68, never turned it off, right? Now, fast forward, we're in a $400 range. Talk about our seniors. It affects them too. So the rate increase that's coming through Reggie, 10%. We can't manufacture, supply enough of our own Pennsylvania energy. We got to go outside Pennsylvania, right? Now we have to go through PJM, and we have to do an auction to try to draw energy back into Pennsylvania. This is where the 10% is coming from. So if we truly cared about our seniors, if our judges, if our bureaucrats really truly cared like they say they do, what are they doing to us?
Well, and part of that, I mean, that PJM auction, which has, you know, created a competitive marketplace that really, that drove Pennsylvania investment and why we're the #2 largest power producer in the nation. But by closing plants faster than we're building plants, it created an imbalance. So that was, and I wrote it down because it was staggering to me, you know, 830% increase in the purchase of power. So it used to be,
What was that number again?
yeah, 830%. It used to be $28 a megawatt. Now it's $269. And that all comes to play in June. That's when that auction is hitting it. So like residents, a family, $10 to $20 a month additional increase, and businesses, 29% increase. So if you're a business, do you invest in your Pennsylvania operation or in your Massachusetts operation? Because the costs in Pennsylvania are getting higher. And that's why the population we're losing are working families and kids, right? Hempfield, 430 graduates this past year. I mean, we're blessed to live in a great district. When I was graduating from Hempfield, it was 800 kids in the class, you know? And so we definitely can right the ship. But I think first, you know, what do you have to do? You gotta acknowledge you have a spending problem, and you have to work together. We can't just show up and give away big checks because all that money is running out, you know?
And you talk about spending money. So with the price increases, right? So what do? We're going to issue more bills, more subsidies for folks. So now we're going to do a grant program lowering energy costs in rural communities. No, we're not lowering them. We are going to pay electric bills for folks. We're not lowering it, we are paying it.
Yeah.
But we can correct this on the front side altogether. The rate should have never been this high to begin with. The increases, there were ways to prevent the increases.
Yeah, well, and I know we're from fiery Westmoreland, and lots of people disagree with us, but the more you force...
I don't think most people.
a senior or a working family, the more you force Pennsylvanians to bend the knee and raise their hand up to be able to get by from the government, then that's asserting government over the people. It's supposed to be for the people. And the pathway to that, right? We got all these able-bodied workers, get them back into the workforce. Thousands of people in Westmoreland County, able-bodied without kids, that could be working 20 hours a week. We're giving them welfare benefits, most of them young men, and they don't have to work. At the same time, we can't fill workers in nursing homes, in daycares, in hospitals, because we can't get anybody to work because of government mandates on ratios. It's crazy.
It's crazy all along. And then when you mention to folks work requirements, like some folks go absolutely berserk over it. What do you mean? Why do you want to make those people go to work for? What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Is,
hey, listen, you want to keep paying them, but you're going to pay them the rest of their life.
Yeah. Look at the Indian reservations across this country, right? What do they
not
rely
again,
on?
not again.
I'm just saying, you're standing on my ground. But casinos, right? And home run ball hopes, because they created a culture of dependency, bad, rough education, very difficult lives, suicide, drug addiction. Now what's our big home run ball here in Pennsylvania? More gambling, right? More, whether it's a skilled game or a casino. We are creating a dependency culture, and we don't need to be. We have a great state.
Absolutely.
I appreciate the work you're doing, because you're confronting these things head on. And I'm
we
sure
try.
we'll get some feedback after today's first session.
Hey, listen, you're just trying to get at least the facts out there just the way that I see them. This is what we see. This is why things are where they're at. And hey, it's tough being in a minority, because you have a voice, but it's silenced all the time. We've witnessed that. You just got to keep plugging along and keep fighting.
Yeah. Well, hey.
Yeah.
Final episode. I think that's a good closure.
I think so too. You'll be blowing the dust off this one in a couple years.
See you, everybody. Take care. Take care.
Have a safe summer.